You probably think Starbucks is just a coffee company. And you'd be right, mostly. But behind the frappuccinos, the cake pops, and the green aprons, they are hiding a massive, unregulated financial empire. In fact, Starbucks is secretly one of the biggest banks in the world. How did a coffee shop pull this off? And what do they do with all that money? The answer lies in your pocket right now. Let's go back to the year 2001. Starbucks introduces a small, innocent piece of plastic, the gift card. It seems simple enough, right? You give them $20, they give you $20 in coffee credit. But this was a Trojan horse, a genius psychological trap that would change the global economy. Fast forward to today, and that plastic card has evolved. It's now the Starbucks Rewards app, and here is where the magic or the manipulation happens. To get those free coffees and extra stars, you have to preload money into the app. You can't just pay exactly $4.12, you have to load $10, $20 or $50 at a time. So, you load $20, you buy a coffee. Now you have $15 sitting in the app. It's not enough for a whole week of coffee, so you load more. You are caught in a continuous cycle of leaving unused cash in your account. Individually, it's just a few dollars, but multiply that by 30 million active users. Suddenly, Starbucks is holding on to a mountain of cash. How much cash? Over $1.5 billion at any given moment. That is $1.5 billion that you gave them for nothing in return. In the finance world, this is called float, and float is the holy grail of banking. Let's compare Starbucks to a normal, boring bank. When you deposit money into a real bank, they don't just put it in a vault. They take your money and they lend it out to other people. They charge those people high interest rates for mortgages and car loans. Then the bank pays you a tiny fraction of a percent in interest for using your money. The bank keeps the massive difference as profit. That's how banking works. But Starbucks has found a way to cheat the system. When you load money onto your Starbucks app, they do exactly what a bank does. They take your cash and invest it in the market. They use it to build new stores, buy equipment, and expand. They are earning interest and returns on your money. But here is the brilliant part. Starbucks pays you 0% interest. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. Instead of paying you cash for using your money, they pay you in coffee. And coffee costs them pennies to make, so they are getting a $1.5 billion loan from the public, completely interest-free. Any business on earth would kill for an interest-free loan of that size. But wait, it gets crazier. Because Starbucks isn't legally a bank. Real banks are crippled by massive amounts of government regulation. They have to follow strict rules set by the Federal Reserve. They must keep a certain amount of cash on hand in case of a bank run. They have to pay insurance premiums to the FDIC. Starbucks? They don't have to do any of that, because the money on your app is classified as a gift card. It's not a cash deposit, it's store credit. This legal loophole is a massive advantage. They can use the entire $1.5 billion however they want. No reserve requirements, no insurance fees. It's the ultimate Wild West of finance. To put this scale into perspective, let's look at the numbers. There are over 4,000 FDIC-insured banks in the United States. Starbucks holds more customer cash than 85% of them. Let that sink in. A coffee shop has more deposits than most regional banks in America, but it's not just the float that makes this a genius business model. There is a darker, more profitable secret hidden in the app. Think about the last time someone gave you a gift card. Did you spend every single penny on it? Or did it sit in a drawer for 3 years with $1.40 left on it? Or maybe you just lost the app login entirely. In the corporate world, this forgotten money has a name. It's called breakage. Breakage is the cash that customers load but never actually spend. And for Starbucks, it is 100% pure profit. They didn't have to roast a single bean. They didn't have to pay a single barista. They just kept your cash forever. How much money do they make from this? In recent years, Starbucks recognized over $200 million in breakage every single year. That is $200 million of free revenue magically appearing on their balance sheet because millions of people forgot they had $3 left on their app. So, we have a company taking billions in deposits, investing it for their own gain, and keeping hundreds of millions in forgotten funds. If they are acting so much like a bank, why don't they just become one? Why doesn't the CEO just register Starbucks as an official financial institution? The answer is simple. They don't want to. Becoming a real bank would ruin the entire scam. Right now, Starbucks operates what is called a closed-loop system. You can put money in, but you can only take it out in the form of coffee. You cannot withdraw cash. You cannot transfer it to a friend. You are trapped in their ecosystem. If they became a real bank, they would have to allow withdrawals. They would have to let you take your unspent money back. And worst of all, they would lose that $200 million in breakage, so they stay right where they are, operating in the shadows, perfectly legal, yet brilliantly deceptive. And other companies are catching on to this trick. Walmart, Target, and Apple all have massive gift card programs, but nobody, and I mean nobody, executes it quite like Starbucks. They have turned a daily caffeine addiction into a global financial instrument. By gamifying the purchase with stars and rewards, they bypassed your logical brain entirely. You don't think about the unused cash sitting on your phone, you just want your iced caramel macchiato. It is a masterclass in consumer psychology, and a terrifying display of corporate power, because as long as people keep chasing those stars, Starbucks will continue to hold $1 billion slush fund, free of taxes, free of interest, and free of banking regulations. If a tech startup tried to invent this today, regulators would shut them down immediately. They would demand banking licenses and strict oversight. But because Starbucks sells coffee, they somehow fly under the radar. They have disguised a global hedge fund inside a paper cup. And the crazy part is, we happily let them do it. So the next time you are standing in line, pulling out your phone to pay, and loading another $20 onto your account for a few extra stars, take a second to realise what is actually happening. You aren't just buying a coffee, you are funding a bank, an unregulated, interest-free, billion-dollar financial machine